and to be speaking international interdisciplinary artist
Well,
Garfield on.
thanks.
Yeah. So okay, I want to jump in. One of the things that struck me when looking at some of the notes I was looking at for you and your press stuff,
Mhm.
you spoke about while you were doing your masters, approaching your art as if you really don't know. And I wanted to start by getting a little bit more into that whole thought position and process of how you arrived there.
Well, I really didn't know. And I say this from the perspective that I did graphic design at Edinburgh College.
Sure.
So when I applied to do additional studies in graphic design at the university in Texas, I was accepted. When I got there, however, the program I had signed up for no longer existed. So I
Right.
had to jump in and do fine art. So essentially, I knew absolutely nothing in terms of what I was doing. Because it's a completely new field. I mean, it is art, but one is graphic design, one is fine art.
Sure.
So I
Sure.
found myself in a fine art master's program, not having done fine art at the undergraduate level. Needless to say, for the first couple of months, well, it was rough, to put it mildly. Some of the language that was used to describe my work, I can't say on air.
Oh my.
But the biggest irony is that it was the best thing that ever happened because I think this was an institution where these professors, all professional artists themselves, and I remember one professor looking me directly in the eye and he said, Garfield, I'm a straight shooter, and this work is not graduate standard work. And I think that was the best thing he could have said to me because, there are instances where people will know that you're not doing so well, and as a means of wanting to encourage you, tell you things that aren't quite so. But this man just gave it to me straight, and I knew that I had a problem, and I knew that I had to work hard to overcome my issues. So
Yeah, and
basically,
it's interesting because sometimes the conventional wisdom in terms of people promoting ourselves and getting to a better place is to picture ourselves as the expert, the guys who know it and who arrive fully formed. But you
yeah,
kind of inverted that, and I
yep,
found that very interesting.
yeah, yeah. The thing is, as a result of how I came to be in this fine art business, for want of a better word,
Right.
I never think that I'm there. And truth be told, I suspect I would have this same mindset even if I had done fine art at my undergraduate. But my temperament is such that there's always more to learn. There's no, there's no destination. It's
Right.
always a process. And as much as you think you know, there's just so much more still to know. So every time I approach a piece of work, I approach it from a space of not knowing. I do my research before I even touch canvas because I want to give myself as much information as possible to do as the best job possible.
Right. But at the
Mhm.
same time, of course, you're also at least partially driven by some kind of impulse that says there's something that I want to express
Oh,
or
for
at
sure,
least
for sure.
to find out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, years ago, a gentleman told me that he was a frustrated artist, and I tell him that I'm a frustrated poet. Um,
Ah,
you know,
okay,
in
okay.
high school and all that, I had an affinity towards literature, English literature, did the Shakespeare and all of that. And I think I fancied myself as something of a writer or possibly even an academic until I actually went to university and realized that, yeah, you actually have to read books and study hard. And I figured, I'm not quite the academic.
The
So,
reading thing wasn't quite grabbing you.
yeah, I mean, I did a little reading, but it required several times more reading than I was
Of course.
prepared to do at the time. So basically, in terms of all that literary training and all of those things, I think I now put it in my art. And I think my approach to my art comes from my literary place of wanting to read as much as possible to understand all aspects of this theme I'm exploring. And in a curious kind of way, I think it makes the art more profound. At least that's what I think anyway.
Right. Now, how much exposure did you have to the arts growing up? I mean, I know in your adult working life, you worked in advertising, you worked in the
Hmm.
commercial sector, which
Hmm.
not necessarily, at least in Jamaica, known for broadening people's horizons per se. How much of
Hmm.
that exposure did you have beforehand?
That's a very, very good question. Okay, so throughout my life, I've been exposed to art in some way, shape, or form. I had an elder brother, Linford Morgan, now deceased, who actually went to Kingston College.
Great.
And he would do art and bring home some of the things that he did. So as a child growing up, of course, every young boy wants to be like his elder brother.
Right.
So of course, I saw him bring home these fantastic pieces of art, and I always imagined myself doing them. So I had that as inspiration. In addition to that, um, I had an affinity towards the comics.
Yeah.
So I remember distinctly that growing up, I'd just wait for my sister to bring home the Star newspaper to then draw the cartoons. And one of the cartoons that really, I was inspired by the Mandrake cartoons. I
All right.
draw the Mandrake characters all over again. And so much so that I had a book with each day's cartoon. And of course, on those days when my sister didn't bring the Star, I was really very put out to say the very least.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I was always drawing or coloring or doing some form of art. And I think where it really kind of, dawned on me that this thing could be a lifelong thing is when I was at Wolmer's Boys School,
Yeah.
I had the good fortune of being taught by Donette Zacher and
Ah.
Hugh Jaffet. Those are my two teachers. And believe me, the inspiration I got from those two people is beyond measure. In addition to that, I remember just up from Wolmer's was the mutual, what was called then the Mutual Life Gallery.
Yes. Yes. The famous
It was
Pat.
the curator was Pat Ramsey.
Yeah. Of course.
And I used to go to the gallery very regularly, and I developed a rapport with Pat. And I remember one day she asked me if I did art, etc. And then she said, "Why don't you bring your portfolio? Let me see it." Listen, I brought my stuff and I showed it to her, and she was so encouraging. She said, "Listen, you probably want to seriously consider doing art because I think you have some talent." And whereas the trajectory wasn't as straight as I would have wanted it to be. Just having that reverberating, those words from Pat Ramsey, who was a curator, who was
Yeah.
curating works for people like Barrington, Watson, and all some of the greats. And
Right.
for her to tell me that I had talent and I should consider this as something I could continue doing, that was a great deal of inspiration for me. And needless to say, as I said, the trajectory wasn't quite straight, but I kept thinking, this art thing might be where I want to go. And eventually I just took the plunge and went to art school, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. But in that history, though, I mean, I wanted to talk about back to your master's studies.
Yeah.
You're a Jamaican black man attending a small town university in Texas. I mean,
Listen.
is that near the border or is it not? I didn't get a chance to research actual
Okay,
university.
so Nacogdoches is 3 hours. Well, it used to be in my day, 3 hours from Houston by road.
There you go. Okay.
Um, Nacogdoches actually became famous when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded and fragments of the shuttle actually dropped in Nacogdoches. And I
Uh-huh.
think that was the first time the word Nacogdoches was mentioned on mainstream media.
Yeah.
Needless to say, even with that, people still don't know where Nacogdoches is. As a matter of fact, to even underscore that point, I've seen people in Nacogdoches wearing a t-shirt that says, "Where the hell is Nacogdoches, Texas?" I mean, it can't get any more lost than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a fascinating experience on several levels. I met some of the most genuine and kind people I've ever met in my life. The Texans are made of sterner stuff. Yeah. Up to today, I maintain friends from
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 that
the days
time.
I was
Yeah.
in Nacogdoches, Texas. Yeah, professors, students, we communicate regularly on social media. It was a beautiful experience. Of course, there were instances of negativity, but then the positives way far outweigh the negative. It was
Right.
it really molded me, toughened me, and all the various positives that people can say about Texas. I lived it. I experienced it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, that would have kind of gone into the whole shaping process of
Oh
how
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The
it
professors there
became.
were,
Yeah. Yeah.
listen, the professors there were first class because, as I say, they're all practicing artists. So they're not just coming to tell you things or to theorize. They tell you and you see it in their work.
Right.
So
And
you
they
leave.
also they also encourage you to live it
Oh,
as you.
listen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man. And also, despite the fact that, my work originally was bad and they were criticizing it, there was a level which they said, listen, Garfield, you can do this. I've seen, for example, one professor said to me, I've seen your graphic design portfolio, and I think you can be a brilliant fine artist if you put in the time.
Right.
So yeah, it was a life-changing experience, obviously.
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
mean, you're now based in Edmonton, correct?
Yes,
But you moved there having spent some time in Montreal.
yes,
Now, Montreal is where I would have presumed would have been a more sort of cultural mecca type, diverse, art welcoming situation rather than Edmonton, which, by the way, did have a bit of Jamaican history attached to it, but we'll talk about it another time.
yes,
Tell me
yes,
about
yes.
what it is that led you to leave Montreal and then find yourself in Edmonton.
Uh, well, in a word, French. Okay, so I actually dropped out of, I'm ashamed to say I dropped out of several French classes while I was in Montreal. I really did try. The last French class I attended before leaving Montreal, on the final exam, I got 49%. And they basically insisted that I had to repeat the course. This is after having done several years of repeating several courses. And I figured, I really have been trying hard, and I think I might want to look elsewhere.
Right.
Um, I
So
mean,
that's a push. Right? What was a pull?
well, Montreal is a great city, and
Yeah.
as you outlined, great for the arts, multicultural, and all of that. But yeah, the French was a hindrance, and I know for a fact that I couldn't have made the type of progress I've made in Edmonton, in Montreal, had I stayed.
Right.
And this is not knocking Montreal, it's just to say that,
It's a different situation. Yeah.
yeah, Edmonton has embraced me. I've thrived in Edmonton, and I would do no differently. Especially knowing now what I know and being here. As a matter of fact, it's been said that Edmonton, just today I was talking to someone and I said Edmonton is a well-kept secret. Now, the school of thought is that it's happening everywhere else. Toronto, BC, Montreal. But I'm here to tell people that this place called Edmonton, well, for me, is where it's
Yeah.
at. The opportunities that I've encountered since having been here, it's just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. The art community is thriving. It's very inclusive. And I wouldn't be here talking to you if I hadn't come to this space and experienced all of the various things that I've experienced being here in Edmonton.
Mm. So I mean,
Yeah.
even though it's not as far west, could you say it's kind of a Canadian version of Portland, Oregon?
No, no, it is its own thing. It's not
Yeah.
no version of anything.
No version of anybody.
No, man. Edmonton is wow. I can't even find the words to really describe this place. Well, I tell you this. It's a little over 3 years that I've been here,
Right.
and not knowing what Oregon gives, I can't say what the comparison or what the influences are. But having been here, I just know that this is a fantastic space to be in on diversity, multicultural, how it is that they support the arts. And I can only speak of my experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, so being in that community,
Yeah.
what kind of other interactions have you had with the local artists? I mean, I know you've exhibited, and I know you're featured, and you have your residency and so on. But just
Yeah.
give me a little bit more about what the art community is like there in your experience.
Okay. The minute I landed in Edmonton, I joined several arts organizations. And that basically was my introduction to the art scene here in Edmonton. As a result of that, I met various artists, various disciplines, various race, color, creed, and the various organizations do that.
Right.
For example, we have this organization here, the Edmonton Arts Council, where they give grants and stuff. They
Right.
have their regular meetings where they go through the process involved in applying. They help you with your application. So you meet staff from this organization. You meet other artists. I mean, I've met so many artists. I know so many artists that I interact with now. I met them at meetings like those. The support, there's the Arts Hub. There's an organization called Five Artists One Love. As we sit here, there's an exhibition at City Hall that was organized by an organization called Five Artists One Love. And by the way, every year during Black History Month, they have an exhibition at the Alberta Gallery of Art.
Mm.
So there's always an opportunity for you to be exhibiting. There are opportunities to get grants, or at least to apply to find out what the procedure is, so that if you don't get it this year, get it out some point. There's the Alberta Foundation for the Art. There are just so many support organizations, and I haven't even. I mean, I'm just basically scratching the surface because this pop-up space that I'm a part of.
Right.
Just yesterday, I met someone, and she's telling me about an art space that she has where they have drawings and all of that. And I've never even heard about this space. And I was
Right.
there thinking that I had a handle on most spaces. But I mean, as much as I've discovered, as much as I've involved in, there's still way more that I can be involved in that I still don't know about. And truth
Yeah.
be told, I mean, as I've said, it's just been a little over 3 years, and there's way more to discover still.
Yeah. Which kind of leads me to the other area of question that I want to investigate in terms of
Mhm.
what you're saying there. How much of that can be applied to how we deal with the arts in Jamaica? Because of course you're still a Jamaican, and you would have at
Yeah.
least some concern for Jamaica with all of the feelings and the opportunity. Let's call it that. That
But that's a very tough
you
question.
could have. Yeah.
All right, let me say this, and this is something that really I've pined over years now. Okay, so after I returned, after I left Nacogdoches, having done my studies and got my fellowship, I went
Right.
back to Jamaica and taught at Edmonton College for a year.
Right.
I met some absolutely brilliant students there. I didn't teach some of them, but I saw the work when they were graduating. And I'm here to tell you that some of these students, since having graduated, have never taken up a brush, have not done any art. And
Mm-hmm.
it's essentially that there's really no support system.
And there's no
These
opportunity.
people, these people have taken a loan, they have gone to art school, they graduate, the loan needs to to be paid back. There's no support, so they have to just find a job and just start paying back the loan.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sad. I don't know. Well, when I was there was no organization that was giving grants to the degree where someone could actually focus on the art and not have to think about the bottom line.
Right. Right.
And that is really very unfortunate. I know NLS. Well, actually, when I returned, I did like a paid well, it was not residency. I paid rental at NLS to get the space to get some work done. They were kind enough to put my talk and my open studio on their mailing list, so people came and saw the show and all of that. But in terms of actual physical monetary support, which is really what is needed as well,
Mm-hmm.
well, when I was there was nothing like that, and
Yeah.
it was hard to see these talented people leave school and never engage in the art again. It really was heartbreaking. I don't know if I've answered your question, but
It's a start. I mean, what I
yeah.
kind of want to get to is we're here at that
Hmm.
point that we both outlined. How do we
Hmm.
get to somewhere closer to there or where you are without having to ship everybody over to Edmonton?
Yeah. Boy, that's a $1 million question. And the bottom line is that,
In other words, who is it that needs to get this advocacy going? Because it's going to take a lot of push.
yeah, for sure. The stakeholders.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I think about an organization like the Edinburgh College.
Yeah.
They already have their hands full with dealing with what they're dealing with.
Right.
But I suspect any 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 engage. But okay, so you have to engage not only just government but corporate society, because the bottom line is that people have to be supported.
Right.
And truth be told, speaking for myself, I mean, my art is at the level that it's at now because of the support that I've got. Meaning, for example, I get a residency, I'm getting financial support, I'm getting materials, I get a studio for a whole year free. So I don't have to bother myself about space and material. I can just focus on the art.
Yeah.
So when you're able to focus 100% on what you're doing, it elevates what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so
Naturally.
we need to get to, I mean, granted, that might be an ideal, and it might not be that people can be supported 100%, but some support needs to be done. So at least people can at least engage in the arts, at least part-time.
Yeah.
But I
Because
know how it is when you have the bills to pay, when you have the loan to repay. I mean, you just have to focus on those things.
yeah.
And
It,
so,
it
mhm,
seems to me that there's a what happens here. is as much a problem of perspective as opposed to, well, it's just policy or whatever. Because it, I mean, I'm in the creative field. I speak to a lot of
Yeah,
artists. I speak to a lot of musicians. Blah blah
yeah.
blah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a commodification
Mm,
that we've been kind of struggling with for years and years and years and years and years. And we're
mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not that art isn't sold or people don't buy art, but the people, as you said, the corporate level brokers per se
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
only see the art as something that they have to improve their particular aesthetic value or whatever it is. The
Mm,
idea of art as a public good just doesn't exist
mm.
in Jamaica.
Well, you've
To
mentioned
my mind,
something
yeah.
fundamental. No, no, and my experience is that that is quite true. That is quite true. How you change that mindset now? Wow. I tell you, I see where Kingston,
Probably bigger than the both of us.
well, I see where Kingston Creative is doing a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
some work, yeah.
I mean, absolutely fantastic. The work that they're doing, you know, I was reading something very, very recently. This was a project that was done somewhere in North America. And they went to particular communities and just put up murals, beautified landscape, and crime decreased significantly.
Yeah. We've seen it in a lot of cities. We've seen it over and over again.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
if you could just get it that it's more than just prettying up a wall, it goes into your psyche, it affects the way you think, the way you feel about yourself, the way you engage. Yeah. Not to say that this is gonna be the what reduces crime, but listen, if a young boy walking past and seeing, beauty, it's better than seeing garbage or derelict.
Yeah,
And that will impact the mind.
or even seeing himself represented in a way that helps him to think
Thank you
higher.
very
Yeah,
much.
right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah,
I still haven't answered your question, and I must admit it's a huge one. But people's mindset just have to change.
yeah,
And I think I don't know what it is, but somehow or the other, people think that when you help people, you are encouraging either laziness or I don't know what it is. It's hard to really put my
dependency,
finger on it. It's
dependent,
say again.
dependency.
Yeah, but I mean, I can speak for myself. I mean, I get assistance, and I want you to know at the end of this that the help that you gave me has been completely beneficial to the point where it has improved me to where now you will see the improvement, and you're gonna feel good about this because I'm not going to just okay. So every opportunity I get,
Yeah,
I mentioned Harcourt House, the place I got the
right.
residency.
Presidency. Yes, yes,
Mentioned the Edmonton Arts Council, the place that gave me several grants.
right.
I mean, so, well, I mean, it's advertising and all of that, and it goes to goodwill. But I'm not going to make people forget that the reason I'm where I'm at is because of the support from all those organizations.
Right, and it's critical.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, it's probably not going to bring them any immediate monetary reward, but I suspect that it goes to goodwill. And I mean, if it is that your organization is tied to something positive that has improved the life of someone and has improved the art and the image and all of that, then I think that there's something to be had in that.
Yeah, because I mean, when for from their perspective, when they
Mm,
have like a showing like what you had recently, or even a pop up, they can
mhm.
then say to their interests, "Hey, look, this is where the resources are. This is what's produced, and this is a part of the effect." You
Which
know,
might actually encourage on the other entities to jump on the
right?
on the yeah,
Precisely,
for sure,
precisely.
for sure,
So,
for
I mean,
sure.
on that vein, let's talk a little bit about what's happening with you now and where you're kind of looking at over the next 12, 24 months. If you have that kind of plan, I know it's not
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I tell you this, since having been here, I've got several grants, a few residencies, and that's basically where I've been focused. But this pop-up opportunity that I'm a part of now,
yeah,
I've sold a couple pieces, I've engaged a lot of people, and not to say that I'm going commercial,
right.
but whereas grants are good and being supported along those lines is always good.
Yeah,
I've seen now where there are opportunities to actually make one-on-one sale
right.
because people are engaging with the work, people are interested in the work, and yeah, I think going forward, I'm gonna be doing works with a view to selling the works. And I say that from the perspective that the residencies that I've been on, the residencies that I've been on, and the materials that I've worked with is more about exploring ideas, and the final product is not necessarily saleable
Right.
in the sense that it would do better as an exhibition in a gallery, but in terms of someone putting it in their living space, it probably doesn't lend itself to that always. So now I'm looking at doing work that does both.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only is it having profound ideas, but it also can be put in people's livable spaces.
So does then that also extend to multiple media type work where your work might kind of interact with, say, a video presentation or a documentary
But
or something
it's
like that?
interesting that you should mention that because I'm going to be a part of an exhibition in January. And whereas I'm not collaborating with the person, there's someone who's going to be doing a video presentation of the theme that we're exploring.
Right.
Uh, Thus far, I've not done anything. Well, I've done audiovisual work, but it was about exploring the similar themes that I was doing three-dimensionally, two-dimensionally. So
Right.
going forward, you just never know. I'm actually happy that you have asked the question because this now gets me thinking about those possibilities going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, as I said, the risk support that you've gotten so far is kind of like a scaffold, but
Yeah,
now you can kind of piece in and build
for
other things
sure,
around
for
it. Yeah.
sure, for sure, for sure.
Any plans to come back, or you're not
Well,
necessarily?
Jamaica is home, and
Yeah.
whereas it's been a while that I haven't been to Jamaica, but it's always circulating in my consciousness.
Yes.
It's not going to be tomorrow, but of course, I mean, Jamaica is home, as I've said. Um, well, there are some plans being talked about, which I don't want to jump the gun and mention it right now, but
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, home is definitely on the agenda. In addition to that, there are various biennales and stuff that's happening that I still have an eye on because as much as I'm doing stuff that can fit in livable spaces, I still, have an affinity to want to go into these large, biennales or, various kind of events that take place in various
Yeah.
spaces around the world. So yeah, I'm constantly, kind of wanting to engage and see the possibilities where those things are concerned.
Good. Hey, Garfield, I mean, I really wish we had more time.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll have to end. But before, just let everybody know um, where they can interact with you, your socials, where they can contact you if needs be.
Okay, so my website is the most exhaustive. It's garfieldmorgan.org. I'm on Instagram as Garfield Morgan Artist. And yeah, either of those two or yeah, you can contact me. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And yeah, we're constantly working. We're in the studio every day, either at the pop-up shop or we in the studio. Yeah, we're constantly working because that's part of it. There's also a responsibility. I mentioned something about grants and all of that, but the artists have a responsibility to be working because
Right.
people not gonna carry things and give it to you regardless of how good you think you are, or even regardless of how good you are.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to be visible as well. You have to be on social media, not necessarily every day, but you have to have
yeah.
a presence because people won't know that you exist unless you're somewhere to be seen.
Right.
So
And
everybody has,
basically, we do because we are.
there you go, there
Yeah.
you go, there you
Yeah.
go.
You say that you're an artist, so the thing
Yep,
is, the first responsibility is to create
for
art.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure, for
Garfield,
sure.
really appreciate it, man. I enjoyed this a lot. We're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna catch up again soon enough.
yeah, man. Thank you very much for this,
Oh,
and you
thank
have a
you
good
for the
day.
time.
Okay, no problem.
We'll be in touch.
Bye bye.
All right.